Hello, hello. Welcome to a brand new episode of the SaaS Sprints Podcast, the podcast for content marketers in SaaS. And I'm your host, Yag. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the various alignment issues that lead to making content marketing ineffective and not delivering the expected results. To discuss that, today I'm going to be talking to my longtime friend, a brother, and eternal supporter, Nemanja Zivkovic. Nemanja is the founder and strategist at Funky Marketing, a new age demand gen agency for B2B organizations based out of Serbia. He is also the co-founder of NS Business Talks, where he is building a strong community through professional business networking. He also mentors startups and is an active member at the Founder Institute. Without stealing any more of his thunder, hey ho, let's go. Hey Nemanja, super happy to have you here. How are you doing today?
Hey, Yak, how are you, brother? I'm good. The kicking off with this recording, like a challenging week. You mentioned the Founder Institute, like tomorrow is the kickoff of the, this autumn cohort, and a lot of things generally going on. And I'm happy to jump and talk about these specific topics because I found out that like this is the topic that we often chat in non-formal environment, right? And not that often we get into the details and talk about the things. And I was listening to your podcast and I see a lot of people that, talk about content, about execution, or how does it go. But I don't see that many companies actually executing it. So the topic that we aligned to talk about, I think it's a great one and I can't wait to get into it.
No, absolutely. I'm super excited. One of the key reasons is that, you're a fellow agency owner. At the same time, you see a lot of B2B companies that you work with. So I'm absolutely interested in hearing the real-time things that you come across on a daily basis. So let's start with this. On one side, a lot of people, even outside of the marketing department, they tend to feel like they know marketing. Of course, it's one curse of the function that we work in. And in fact, content marketing is one of those functions where everyone has an opinion. And yet, content marketing is a lot complicated than what it seems at the outside. So, in your experience, what do you think actually makes it complex? Why is that, companies often underestimate what it takes?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I got to tell you, I'm not the agency owner anymore. I'm now we are more of like a consultancy firm. So I have the experience of from another point, from actually being the one inside the company as a fractional CMO who is actually hiring agencies, right? So when I think about content marketing, like it's same as marketing, right? When we think about marketing, we say that it's equal to marketing, and about marketing, everybody thinks that they know things, right? Everybody thinks that they know what marketing is. Everybody thinks that they know what great marketing is. Even as we marketers, often when we see a post, a visual, a campaign, we say, that's shit or that's great, but without actually knowing if it brings results or no, right? So we also fell into that trap of actually commenting things without knowing if they are actually successful. And it's so easy. We are living in a world, especially now that the younger generations, when they grew up with the internet, with the market, right? I think social media is the current state of the internet. Now we're slowly moving into Web3 and whatever it is, but it is like we're spending more time on social that we are spending doing our work. We are using social for sharing our personal information, chatting with friends. Everything is in our phone and it comes naturally to us. So, actually, what you said is one of the things that I recognize in the younger people when I hire them, when they come to work with me. Usually, they think that they know everything, and they think that they know how things work. The point here is they grew up with the social, and they are naturally good at it. They make results, but they don't know to break it down. How did they get to the results? Right? They don't know why they did specific things, so they cannot replicate it. And they need somebody who is, who knows the customers, who knows the strategy, who has been there to kind of show them like, look, let's reverse engineering and see how did you get there. When you explain it to them, then it's easier for them to replicate it. And I think that's something that goes along all the way. I can go into more details, but I think we're gonna go step by step through that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. I definitely, I also come from the same place where I've been more of an executioner. And then, slowly when you look back, sometimes you know that you instinctively you do certain things and you're not able to articulate a step by step, which I think is a great perspective to look at so that it can be a blueprint that you can consistently replicate going forward. But let's also talk a little bit about the other side, where the underestimating part, because if you don't know what are the components of certain things, and you cannot, like, say if I have to do a product launch about 1 month down the line, you have to have a sheet at least to say that, hey, these are the 20 things that I need to have ready by this day, for which I have to work on these things, and you need to have a set of plans towards that. And that, I think, is often underestimated because you think, hey, let's do a video, let's do a blog post. That's not how it works, right?
Yeah, definitely not how it works, but it seems like people think that is how it works, right? When I come into the companies, usually what I see from the old times is that, and I think you and I talk about that on the podcast in the past, it is, that companies have a content which is basically blogs, right? It's convenient for them. They are targeting Google and they don't need to talk with anybody. Right, so it's convenient. We can just write it from our own perspective. But now with AI, with things changing, we need more resources, we need more non-obvious content, and then it becomes harder, right? And even that content that they created, it might be good for Google. It's not good for distribution on the social, and that's what makes it complex, and that's what makes it a little complicated to execute. Because when we talk about execution, a lot of things are manual. Right, you need to actually go and do the things. If it's, if we are talking about LinkedIn, about Twitter, you already know what to do. But if you talk about Reddit, we talk about Facebook communities, it's much harder because you need to go out there, be the part of the community, become the part of the community, and actually figure out how they are sharing content so you don't get banned from that community, right? You need to get to know your customers a lot better than, that a lot of companies know them. And I think those are the things that they go. Also, there is one more thing is they look at, I wouldn't say they are competitors, but then the companies, they are North Star for them, right? And usually those are the companies already established, working for 10 plus years. And they look at them and they see, oh, this is what they are doing. But they don't, understand that those companies were doing different things when they were smaller and on their level. So a lot of nuances here to think about, and a lot of room to make mistakes, I would say, like that.
I'm loving this because based on what you said, it feels like we can go in 10 different tangents because so many different threads that you leave. One is, copying what a big company is doing. For example, of course, everybody at some point has tried to copy what HubSpot does when it comes to content marketing, but you don't realize that what they were then, what they are now is very, very different. And I love the part where you also brought up this thing about using generative AI to create content. And that's one thing that I would love to slightly double click on. For example, a lot of people tend to think that given that we have access to generative AI, it's time that we have to create more and more content. And then there is also the other side where there are people who are absolutely not consistent when it comes to creating content. So let's talk about these two perspectives. Is it about creating more content? Of course, let's assume that it's quality content that is created and not just pumping something based on ChatGPT. But is it about creating more content, or is it more about consistency, or is it about any particular format? What do you see working these days?
Yeah, it all depends what are your goals. Right, I can look at Funky Marketing and say, look, we chosen to have a specific amount of content on the website for one reason: not to get the clients from Google, but to actually, when I talk with customers, potential clients, I can just direct them to the article. I don't need to explain, to send them a lot of documents, those kind of things. And luckily, one or two of those rank well. So basically, when somebody searches B2B strategies for startups, they come to Funky Marketing, right? Which is exactly what we aim for. On the other hand, I'll give you an example of a Turkish startup that I was working with called User Guiding. Basically, they had this thing. They didn't know for which category they should rank, because basically it's onboarding tool, no code tool. It can be used as a project management, a lot of things, and basically they didn't know in which direction to go. So luckily, product team was talking to the customers. Customer support team was also talking to the customers. They have those calls recorded. When we go through the calls, we figure out that they can go in 6 different directions, right? That there's no one or two. So what we did, basically figure out, okay, we need to build a media company in a way, not going, entertainment and video, but going full on written content, because there's already demand on Google and we need to utilize that demand. So basically, we jumped in as an agency and worked with their team to kind of come up. It was at one moment, it was 20 articles per month. All of those articles from 2,500 words to and more, but with specific topics and we covered each keyword step by step, to go through it. And the thing is, we got the insights from them. We used AI in one way to get more insights, and then basically we needed to go through all of the content to check out what's real, what's not, depending on the AI. And also on the other hand, we had another check from them to see if articles are good. And in time, they were able to produce a lot. Then in time, we helped them also create a system to bring on board their own people. And now they have their own team. And if you go and check like project management or user onboarding, those kind of things, you will see user guiding, I think, in the first 5 results on Google. At least that's what it was last time I checked. So, we found the insights where we need to go, and then we executed fast on it. They didn't have people inside the company, so they hired an agency to help them go through those things. And it helped them and it helped a lot to us as well. And it was like, how was my team? It was like 3 of us at the time working on that. And it was one person actually 2 from the company side. One is like overviewing the whole content thing, and the other one was an analytical guy giving us the insights. So it's not a lot of people, and it's just like a pure execution when you know what the goal is. So all depends, to get back to your initial question, all depends on what you want to achieve. Do you have already demand that you want to utilize? Are you writing the articles maybe to distribute them on social? Or, maybe you want to have a research that will be, once in 6 months, that you do it with your partners, and then basically that piece of content lifts you up.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Of course, user guiding, I've consistently seen them over the last several months popping up on several topics related to the GTM side of the house, especially, the support and onboarding side. And the interesting part is, while you made it very clear about the thing where the more content you publish, of course, it's going to be helpful because the more you surface on searches and the more you can generate demand. But let's also dive a little bit about the consistency aspect. Let's talk about why at all is there inconsistency in creation? Is it because of lack of having a clear strategy? Is it because of resource? Is it because of not having the right expectations? I mean, of course, all of these aspects do come in, but what do you think is that one pinpoint that you generally initially try to fix whenever you go into an organization?
Yeah, usually, there are 2 things. One is definitely inconsistency, and one is definitely related to that. It's who you have inside your team, right? Usually companies don't have the right person to execute the things. Usually when I come into the companies and they say, hey, we have a small marketing team, right? Most of the times those are people like, creative director, or more suited for that. So they can come up with creative videos, but that's it. or it might be somebody who does, performance marketing. So somebody who does advertising, those kind of things. Not often do I come into the company and see, there's an amazing writer that knows how to, instruct the insights from the customers and basically make the content out of it. Usually that doesn't happen. If it is a writer inside the company, usually it's the one that was. So we are talking about SaaS. Usually it's the one that was working in, in tourism or B2C or those kind of things. And when I give them a task, they say, okay, I'm a strategist. I know how to do this. I will perform. Usually, I need to follow up after 3 weeks and say what happened. And 2 or 3 times I got the response, I need 3 months to get into that. Because, SaaS is a lot of, it's specific and it's, you need to know the expressions. You need to understand how the things go inside the companies, how the way customers buy has changed. Also talking about one of the big media publishers, I got the answer when we talk about the content. They hired us to write some of the pieces for them. They told me, you are the 22nd or the 23rd agency owner that I'm talking with, and you are the first one that seems like they understand what I'm talking about. So it happens a lot because those people, when you look at the blogs that people write for tourism, for those kind of things, those are like simple 500 words blog, and they just tend to write as many of them as possible and thinking that they're going to rank. Basically, they don't, but they are paid, so they need to do something, right? And that's a completely different thing. And then when it comes to inconsistency, it roots back to some thing that, we're going to talk about definitely a lot more in the continuation of the podcast, but it's, how the leadership looks at the content. Is that the mean to get to the customers, to get to the more revenue, to get to the more profit, whatever it is? Or it is just something that, everybody else has content, we hear that we need to do this, so let's go ahead and do it. And from the start, there are those two things. I like to say always, marketers sounds like they're crucified, because one side is brand, another is performance or demand. And basically, when you look at that, the marketer inside the company needs to be the one who knows how to deal with these things, right? Because there's a pressure to to build long term or to get performance right away, but you need both. And there's a pressure for performance. There's a pressure from the CEO, from the investor. Okay, if it's the founder, maybe he realized the need of building a brand in time. But still, you need to figure out, like, I'm going to hire agency to help me with performance or with brand stuff, right? And then it's kind of difficult, especially if you've worked on a limited budget, and if you go and do things. And usually, I like to say, your first marketer in the team should be somebody who understand the product, understand that side, and can execute on his own, on her own as well. You know that you've been in that position a lot of times in your career, and I think you are the right definition for that person.
No, I'm smiling because, I 100% resonate with almost everything that you're saying here. And especially when you gave that example of somebody saying that they need 3 months in a typical SaaS startup environment. If you go and say that to a CEO, you're asking to be fired, right? So it's like the general conversation in B2B SaaS startups is usually this, right? So if you can get something done in a quarter, let's do it in a month. If you can do this in a month, let's do it in a week. If we can do it in a week, we can try to do it in days. And in that kind of an environment, if you're saying that, hey, this is going to take this time and I have only an understanding of these things, and absolutely right. In the initial days, you have to have a broad understanding. Of course, you have your specialization, but if you don't know how the dots are connected, then, you are not going to be able to report to the CEO, because for CEO, you have to have things that the KPIs that matter to them to be able to actually, show that how things are moving forward. Right. So, Nemanja, at this point, I have a interesting sponsored question by Outfunnel. So, I'm going to ask you that. What are the biggest challenges that you see right now when it comes to uniting the data from sales and marketing so that you know what to do next?
There are two things. First thing first, and then the second one. So it's the mindset. Always is the mindset that you need to fix first. So they are all aligned on the same thing, right? It starts from the leadership, then marketing, then sales, because they work on the same thing, converting the same customers. So it's not like you are going after one, we are going after the other one, and which is usually what happens because they work in silos. They don't talk to each other. So that's one thing. And how do we align them? We need to set up the right metrics. So that's the second one. We need to set up the right metrics to be able to actually get the results that we want, right? Usually it's, I think everything that's bad over there, it's how do we define MQLs. MQLs are not per se bad, but the way we define them, it usually is. So, and that causing a lot of stress inside the companies, and everybody look at the other side as like, what are you doing? You're not giving me the right insights. The sales marketing, sales said you're coming up with the leads that are shitty. They don't want to buy from us. Then customer support says people are unsatisfied with the way our buyer's journey go, because they have a lot of things that are coming over there, which is not okay. Then you have like accounts that are closing. They're here just to close. Then you have SDRs who are here to, just schedule a call. That's their metric. So they go and they schedule the calls. They don't care the quality of that. So a lot of things to think about when you're coming up with the right metrics and what do we actually need to measure. But it all starts from the mindset. If the mindset is the right, we will choose the right metrics.
And, in the lead up to this recording today, one of the things that we were conversing on chat the other day, it also reminded me where you said that, hey, I'm looking at things over the last 6 months or so. Still, people are talking about the same set of things that they used to talk in 2020. Things have not changed at all. I mean, I can understand that the basics are not changing, but even the adaptation, even post-COVID, still it remains the same and people are operating in the way that they used to in the past, which is very, very strange.
Yeah, to tell you one thing, I was thinking about it last night. I was playing basketball and then I check out the LinkedIn and the guy added a comment to my post and said, I agree with everything in this post, but, just for your record, I still don't agree with you that we can create demand, right, from that perspective. And I was looking at that and I was thinking, look, like the only thing that became a topic, so like demand creation, converting the demand, closing the demand, is because for me, it's much simpler than coming up with awareness, with brand, then with demand, then with performance marketing. There are a lot of different stuff. You are in the market or you are outside of the market. And that depends on how you are going to talk about it and how you go through it. But, and we seem to talk about these things like MQLs, then demand and those things, but most companies need to fix the foundation, right?
Yeah.
The foundation, which most companies, they don't know what 4 P's of marketing are. They don't know the basics of sales. They don't know these basic things. And usually when we are now in this complex environment, especially in SaaS, the solution to the complex problem is always fixing the foundation.
No, I know of companies that have existed for the last 7, 8, or even 10 years, and still they don't know, what pieces of their marketing funnel is actually contributing to revenue, which is actually bringing in the pipeline. And if you don't know that, of course, you don't know where to invest and where to double down on. Absolutely, I'm 100% with you. Right. Let's talk about, being competitive with content. While everyone wants to create more demand, like you just mentioned, and everybody wants to improve their conversion, what does it really mean to be competitive with your content? Is it about more content? Is it about being active on social media like LinkedIn? Or is it about trying to understand, do I have a different point of view? What does it really mean to be competitive?
To be competitive, that's kind of interesting. I like this saying that, when you choose the category where you're going to go, or it can be a subcategory, whatever it is, and you narrow the target group. And I like to say, if it's small enough, that you can conquer that target group in 18 months. So that's how I like to look at it. If you can be the number one, if in 18 months with your content, with your marketing efforts, whatever it is you do, it means not that you're competitive, that's what you do. And basically that should be the starting point. From that, you develop and you go wider. But make it small enough so you know those people, you know who they are, and you how to deliver them results that they want to get to be able to solve their problems. And when you do it like this, like a small group can mean a lot because it's cohesive and they talk with each other. And, you know, if you deliver results, it will spark the word of mouth, which is basically what you are going after. If you're creating content, it's the most powerful one. And when you do that, then you go wide. But also you cannot do that if you don't have like a way to differentiate, if you don't have a different point of view, because basically if you're already coming up with a product, it should mean that you see something that other people in your environment, in space, don't see. And usually as a founder, even as a marketer, strategist, you're pissed off because other people don't see it. And now your task is through the content, through your marketing efforts, to kind of draw the path for them to see those things and to go and execute that. Why? Because they need to see what's for me in it. Right? Because it needs to start from them. Why do exactly this company needs to do these specific things or buy this specific product? So that's usually how it goes. And that's why I say start with a smaller target group, go and try to execute that in 18 months and become the number one. Actually, when I say number one, I mean, go ahead and have 30% of the market in that target group.
That in itself is a big thing. And, you know, it makes me wonder as I hear you more and more in this topic, it makes me wonder, are these insights becoming more common to you, or is it becoming second nature to you because you have probably in the last 1 year become more active conducting events in real life, you know, in person? Has this contributed to this thought process? Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the conferences and meetups that you're conducting these days. Is these in-person conversations, are they contributing to your this kind of a thought process to get the real-time insight that, hey, if I can just make sure that this kind of an audience in this zone, in this category, if I can make sure that they know me and they understand my point of view, that is my first target. So, because a lot of times when you're working remote and you're doing this online, you're largely depending on one, either you're listening to conversations of customer success and sales and making those inferences, or you're doing your typical SEO research and some third party research, or participating in, say, groups like your Bravado or Pavilion and things like that. But in-person events give you a whole different dimension because the conversation is more qualitative.
Yeah, that's a great question. And there are couple of things. When you are a member of the community, the active member of the community, especially if you are the owner, right? That's another layer to it. You need to be active in that community because they look up to you as the subject matter expert, right? And when you are there every day, you get a feedback on in every possible place. When I say that, I mean, like, I was sitting in a cafe 2 weeks ago, and the lady was walking through and said, "Are you Nemanja? I'm a member of the Funky Marketing, actually is Business Talks now community, and I'm looking at your content on LinkedIn every day. And like, thank you for everything that you're doing. If I can help anyway, go ahead. When it's time for me to hire you, I will do that." And I don't mean only that, and I mean, like, you get the insights from people, because we have this WhatsApp group, but we also have offline events. So when we talk with people, we seems like it's enough basic for everybody inside that community. But what we found out when we actually talk one-on-ones with people, we found out that they are scared of networking. So they don't know how to network. They don't know the foundation, the basic, because nobody ever taught them. And our content seems high level to them. Right. So, and we needed to go back to the drawing board and figure out what we are doing with that. Because our goal with the community was kind of to get in the center of the whole ecosystem, connects all the companies IT, non-IT, family companies, like all the business chambers and everything else that is there, to help the whole ecosystem kind of skip a few steps in their development, because there aren't enough people that have made it in that way. They are sharing. So and when we look at that, it's exactly what people told us. We need the foundation, we need the basic to be able to skip a few steps, and then when we figure that out, then you bring experts from abroad, you bring somebody else to come in and kind of help us, have a different point of view or whatever it is. But let us figure out the basics first. And what I like to tie kind of to that, we talk about metrics. One of the metrics that I like, especially regarding to that, is kind of creating a trophy room inside the company. Okay, if it's a community, everybody talks publicly over there, so you can see it. But if it's if it's a company, and you create content, you distribute it all around the place, you have a lot of people from company, actually being a part of creating the pipeline. Then you need to create a trophy room when you will share all the things, all the insights that you get from different Slack communities, from social media, but also from asking the question on the website, right? Self-reported attribution. How did you hear about us, and why do you want to work with us? So when you have that inside the company, it gets much easier for you to communicate the value of it, right? Because the everybody in the company sees that. You can go to the CEO or whoever it is that you are reporting to. It may be the CMO if you are head of content, and you can tell them, look, like, this is actually working, and give them exact metrics that they want to see. But it comes on top of them already seeing what you share inside the Slack, and not only you, but other members of the team, right? So it's basically you get everything in one place, and it's a proof that you need for the inside the company. So not only for the outside.
One key takeaway for me from this is, it comes down to those first principles, wherein it's not always about going inside out as to what you have to say, but actually get things outside in, so that you specifically understand that, having that empathy to go back and it's not that, hey, I have an audience to talk to, but it's about understanding that is everybody comfortable, or what is it they specifically want, what are the obstacles. This is why I keep enjoying when I go back to those little jobs to be done perspective. And of course, Bob Moesta is one of the geniuses out there on this specific topic. Yeah, I absolutely love talking to him. And he stumps you off the guard, right? So when suddenly that conversation went into the part where he asked me, how did you go about buying that shoe? It gave me an entire different perspective right there in that moment. So yeah, that's one thing that I take away from this. Right. Let's finally talk a little bit about the promotional side of content. A lot of content is not just about how you create it. And you spoke about this aspect of where you said it's important to go about building a media company. A lot of people say that, but very few people really understand what it means to do it. And for a lot of people, it typically means that taking your piece of content, be it like, a podcast snippet, or be it a blog post, or even, your zero-click content, and kind of spamming in all possible channels that and as you rightly said, it will only help you getting blocked by those communities. So what does promotion even mean, in sense, like, if you will give me a broad blueprint as to this is how one needs to think about promotion, that will be very, very helpful.
Yeah, I like that, and you can spam with promotion as well. So we need to say that. But I think of of promotion. If you go and look at it, like, organic content should be something that it is over there as a continuation of what you do in a company. What's your role in the company is, right? Talk about specifically these things. Not everybody from the company, copy the post that it is on the company page, right? Which usually what happens, or they reshare it even, not even copy it. So
Exactly.
those things don't work. And why would I follow a CEO who just copies the thing from the company page, right? I would follow the company page. You are just a bot. You are just somebody that is doing the automation of something and it's not even the CEO that they're even posting that content. But when we look at, from the start point that we make the organic work, right? So we see the engagement from the right people. We get messages from the right people. The right people are scheduling the calls on the website or getting demos or whatever it is, our CTA. And then basically, that's a small group that we can address through organic content. If we don't get viral here and there, but no matter if we add the right people or engage with the right people, it's still, we cannot be sure that those are the right companies that we are targeting, right? So from that perspective, we need to go and execute on the advertising. And advertising, I look at it as just amplification of what we already doing organic, which means we make sure that our content is seen by the right people, by our ICP or by our target group. So if we say these 50 companies are the ones that we want to target, we mentioned, conquer, get 30% of the market in 18 months. So let's say these are the 50 companies that are over there. That's the 30%. What we want to do is we want to make sure that they are seeing everything that we post. They are seeing each piece of our content. So it's not only, let's gather their information and basically, try to get them on the calls where they don't want to be, to sell them something they don't want to buy. So we want them to kind of look the whole overview of the things. So realize, okay, there is a problem that we are having. So realize why they don't solve this problem, because we already work with those kind of companies and we can tell them, you are not solving this problem because of lack of the budget, because of not enough resources in-house, because it's not, I don't know, it's the new CMO and it's not the priority yet or whatever it is. So we can tell them exactly those things, and those are actually the types of content that we are actually arming the account champion to kind of go and sell inside the company when they need to sell. Then we obviously need to show them how does it look like if they actually work with us, if they buy the product, right? If they implement it inside the company, how does that result look like for them? Not for everybody else, but for those 50 companies. Also, maybe that's not enough, right? So then we need to also add a thing or two about the product. So why we are different from the others, why we are the right fit for them, right? That's the part that we are using as demand conversion, right? When we already have companies in the space, maybe they are not the right fit for those 50 companies, because then that's why we build the product for you guys, right? So we need to show them exactly why the product is for them. And then finally, we need to show them, has anybody bought the product yet? Have they tried it? Is it okay? Is it giving those results that we are promising? So what are others thinking about it? So we have all those layers, distributed in the feed where, people from the company are actually consuming it, not only the decision makers, but also those people that will use the product. So then we can impact, the decision making from above and from inside. And if we add to that something that we mention a lot these days is our influencers or evangelists in B2B, people that those people trust. And if they appear also in our content, then basically we've done a lot. And the goal of the content is to help the people, no matter in which stage they are, just to get to the next stage. It's not to skip 5 steps and go to the website and convert, because it won't happen. So we need to get them to the website when they are ready. So from that perspective, it's a little bit different. And, that's how I like to look at the advertising. Because if you go and look, I don't know if people listening are consuming the content on LinkedIn, every once in a week, there's somebody saying PPC doesn't work anymore, right? What works are the branded keywords, right? And they are working because people know the company, and they work even better when you actually are out there. As long as you create content, they work better. And you don't spend that much. Basically, you close the existing demand for you, for your company. And some people may call that, not creating demand. Some may call it, create the awareness, create the brand. But usually with that amplification through the advertising, you can appear that you have a brand even before you build a brand. It takes time to build a brand, right? So it takes time, and I can give the example of what we did with Funky Marketing in the first year when we started the company, right? You know that basically we came up with the list Funky Marketing top voices, and we said inside the company, we said these 20 people are going to be on the list. Those are the people that we see, they are legit, and we want them to be the top voices for for the people that are following us. So basically, we recorded a podcast with each one of you, and then basically distributed that organically and through the advertising to the specific target group. And it gave us the content for the next 6 months to distribute. And we created, at the same time, we created relationship with those people, and we involved them into the, talk about Funky Marketing. And it looked like, hey, Funky Marketing is equal to Refined Labs. No, we are not. But it looks like that. We were in the same conversations. You remember that at the time. Even some of those people, like Niko Slavnic from the 𝗩𝗵𝗲𝗃, actually had a hashtag on his profile, Funky Marketing Top Voice. We didn't even remember to use the hashtag for that, right? So it's actually easy to execute when you know what you want to do and what is the content for.
No, I'm loving this because the as soon as I completed my thought and the question, I love how you went in a flow because it just comes like a waterfall. Two things that I absolutely love from what you said. One is, again, I cannot emphasize this enough, that it's important for you to even advertise your organic content. You put money on it because you wanted to promote it in front of those 50 accounts. It's pretty much like account based marketing. Pretty much it's like targeting those specific people and showing your content right there. Let's not put a name on it, but that's what it is. And then the second aspect, what I love is where you said that there are certain companies that are going out and just sharing the content from their organization, and when the leader does it, it's like you're just a billboard. It is not anything more than that. And trust me, there have been certain organizations in the recent past when that got in touch with me, and one of the key priorities as part of their work with SaaS Sprints was that they said, hey, can you take charge of our CEO's LinkedIn and post on a daily basis? And I'm like, dude, the point of view needs to come from there. If I start posting on that behalf and I'm posting generic content, and if it's not the direction that the organization wants to go in, it definitely does not make sense. And there are very, very few people who understand those perspectives and are saying that, okay, now I have this. Once you have those things sorted as to what to say and who is it for, promotion is pretty much second nature. You know where to post, what is the format and all of those things. And I'm so happy that you emphasized on each of these pillars very, very clearly.
Yeah, there is one thing that I want to mention, because you mentioned media company and it didn't address that rightfully. What I see happening in the next year or two is actually the content becoming more of an entertainment. And we see people from B2B as as skaters and as those kind of things. If you watch any documentary that skaters create, it's amazing. The intro, how it goes, everything. I see that going also exploding on YouTube, because like on social, it appears that those 30 seconds up to a minute videos, they're okay. People consume that and you can be successful with that. But do they drive the long-term results? I don't think so. Right? So from that perspective, I see something else happening. And when you look at that, like entertaining, high-level content, not many companies can perform that. Right? So it will be the differentiation from that perspective. And also one more thing I wanted to mention, and I think it's important for that conversation. One of the biggest stoppers inside the company, that why don't you create the quality content, why you are not persistent, and why you don't post at all. Sometimes it's because you have at least 10 eyeballs on each piece of content all the time before you actually show it to the customers, right? Because it happens a lot. It happened to me in a company that grew from 300 to 850 people in 3 months. But in 2 months, we were not able to ship anything. Even the girl who was the middleman between me, the CMO, and the content team, even she had opinion about the content, right? So, and what I usually say for the marketing, it's not that, and going back to the beginning of our conversation, everybody thinks that they know marketing. You need to sometimes risk and go through it. Ask for opinions, okay, but you need to be the one who is making the decision if it's going to go or not. And usually, how it will perform, and you motivate the team by selling to those people inside the company first. And when it's happening inside the company, then when you go to the social, then basically they say, then we created this piece of content, this research we did, spent 3 months doing it. It's so amazing. I'm going to post it on my own, no matter what they told me or what they don't told me, right? So from that perspective, we need to fix the things inside the companies and who decides what. And, that's what makes marketing vanilla, because it's not important what I'm thinking, what the CMO thinks, what the content team thinks, what founders thinks. It's important what the customers say. And we cannot know that until we post like at least 5 different pieces of content and see which one sticks, and what's the feedback that we are getting and in which direction we should go and optimize forward.
Absolutely. This gives me memories of so many incidents over the years, but absolutely, this is amazing. Right. So that brings us to the next half of the podcast, which we call the rapid fire section. Here, I'm going to be shooting 5 pointed questions at you. The questions may be short, but the answers need not be. Let's go with the flow, whatever comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Here's question number 1. What is one virtue or value that you would advise every single marketer that you come across pretty much in the early stages to imbibe?
Creativity, curiosity. Sorry, curiosity, which actually relates to the lifelong learning and everything. You need to be curious to find out all the things, what's happening inside the company, with the customers, with everything, and to be curious enough to find the solutions and then implement them. So I think curiosity is for me one of the things. I don't see that many marketers are curious, and curiosity gets you closer to the money. How the money goes inside the company, and as you get closer to that, you become a better marketer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is one quality that is required for all GTM folks, not only marketing, sales, customer success,
Definitely.
pretty much everyone. Love it. Right. Here's question number 2. In one of your recent LinkedIn posts, which I absolutely loved, you said all performance marketing is about revenue. All branding is about profitability. I would love if you can expand on it a little more.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. It is actually the comment from Rich Paul that I saw, and basically it's kind of goes like brand profitability and revenue and growth. From that perspective. And I think people, think from the short-term perspective a lot of time, like everything is a part of the growth. It is. But if you think that only performance brings the growth, then you will do only performance and actually only go and create short-term. And from that perspective, okay, short-term will work. You will get the revenue. But do you track how many people actually, stop using your product? Do you understand how much people, how much the average deal, how much the cost, customer acquisition cost from that perspective? If you don't put the brand part, those things will increase. Customer acquisition costs will increase. The people, spending time using your product will decrease from that side, and people won't stay much longer with you and using your product. So I look at those things from the lens of like sales is there to kind of spark the growth. Marketing is there to accelerate the growth and take it to the next level. Because marketing is one to many. Usually sales is one to one, and it's easy to sell and spark the growth when you go and talk with each target customer and try to convert some of them. but then you see what's happening with all of them. What is the problem? What's their perspective? And then you apply that into the marketing, and it takes everything to the higher level. And when you have, the brand, basically you need to invest a lot less money into the performance. You have people coming to you directly. You have people talking about you. You have word of mouth growing, and the costs are lower, and it goes directly to profitability.
You always look at certain companies and you feel that I wish I had that brand, but we often don't realize that how much of peddling they've done under the waters over the years to get where they are, and this is what exactly it contributes to.
I mean, one more perspective is if you look at we mentioned MQLs. So like the MQL camp is the person that, you're just interested in education. And when that's the goal for the marketing, they get as many MQLs as possible. So they go to sales and try to talk to them and realize, they are shit. They don't want to talk with us. They are not ready, send them back. So, and basically to be able for sales to talk to all those people, you need a lot more people in sales because marketing is getting more and more MQLs. And when you have a lot more of them, not everybody are good. So you need to invest a lot more into the sales team, into educating them. If you're getting that, because B2B companies are sales companies, and they understand sales. So if it's a different way, then when you reach out, somebody from sales reach out to the people, they know who they are. If the brand is already there, they know the name of the company, if not their name as well. So it makes their job easier as well. So you don't need, 50 people or 15 people in sales. You need just 2 who are experienced to close, the demand that marketing is creating, and go ahead and have time to actually do the outbound, which is easier if the brand is already there.
Absolutely. And, every time I hear you, one thing that I cannot help feel is that looks like we've almost worked with the same set of people all the time because the experiences are very, very similar. Love it.
It's in the whole industry. That's how it goes.
Right. So here's question number 3. If I'm not wrong, I think you prioritize content creation over content consumption. I want to understand, I'm a little curious about why that order. Why do you put creation before consumption? So what's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, basically, if you don't create content, you just consume content. You become one of those people that buys every course, buys every ebook, buys everything, reads everything, think that they know everything, but never executes, never implements, right? And you become a lifelong learner without results. Basically, it doesn't lead to any results. What I like to do is, sure, you consume content, but up to the level that it gets you somewhere where you want to go. So to give you an example, when I started Funky Marketing, I got out of all the Facebook communities, I was a member of like 50 of them, talking about B2C marketing, about B2B, about performance, about those kind of things, automation, lead generation. And I saw like, okay, there are 3 people that are my North Star. They are moving in the same direction, or they're already there when I want to go. So I said, I'm going to follow only these 3 people and what they consume, what they listen, because I want to be there as well. And it helped me so much that basically when I just started talking about those things, how it is, you first get educated, then you start copy, because you start producing, and then you find out, this is my specifics, and I can talk better if I talk, from this standpoint. And then you find your own voice. But the thing is, if you don't do all those things, you will never find your voice. So you need first consume the content, then you start try to copy what others are doing, what they are telling you, see if it works for your target group or no. Then you see, something is works, some doesn't. So I can go with those things that work and maybe add a few things over my own. And then you become, let's call it an expert or professional in what you are doing. Without that, you basically become somebody who is just consuming content. Because you can spend hours on LinkedIn reading. You can spend hours, listening to the podcast.
Doom scrolling.
Exactly, and it doesn't get you anything. You're just wasting your time. The same thing can go. You can spend your time playing the mobile game, right? Just Tetris. It's the same thing.
No, this is so good because immediately at least 5, 6 names come to my head in my immediate circle who primarily does sign up for every single course and have never put out a piece of content in the longest time I remember. Absolutely right. So if you don't put out something and try and experiment, you're never really going to learn. Otherwise, everything becomes knowledge or a database that you have, which is not helpful for anyone. Love it. Right. So, question number 4: what is one thing that you want to learn when it comes to content marketing? What is that you think you've not still gained expertise on?
Oh, that's the question that you sent me the question and I was like, no idea. So let's go into the thought process. So what one thing that I want to learn and to do much better is definitely customer research and getting better into that thing. I see a lot of people asking me questions about AI, about going into that direction. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the foundation and to backwards and kind of strengthen my foundation even more, right? Because and when I look and all the things like now on the Serbia market, I don't talk about global now. People here recognize, he is the one who, B2B marketing is Nemanja, right? But I actually told them I'm not the one who knows everything. I was just at the right time, at the right place when with the way B2B buyers buy has changed, and I recognize that, and it gave me a lot of leverage. But I still have a lot of things to do, and I want to fill it out with learning more about the foundation. Yeah, so from that point, I've enrolled in some courses and talk more with the customers, try to implement that and see, which questions to ask whom, when, why those questions exactly, and to extract more from the customers. You can go with a couple of easy questions. I've been doing it for a lot of years, and you get some of the things. But when you want to go out the market and talk and work with bigger companies, you need to dig more deeper. And I need, a lot more knowledge to be able to dig deeper than that.
Right. So here's the final rapid fire question. What is that one metric that you would highly recommend every content marketer to measure? And what is one metric that you would, tell people that don't use this metric?
Yeah, now that's kind of interesting because I wouldn't tie it necessarily to the content marketing.
Okay.
But to the marketing in general, it is the one that, I've been looking at what can we measure, because there's a lot of talk all around about, about the metrics. So should it be pipeline? Should it be revenue? Should it be something else? And I kind of like what Chris Walker and Refined Labs came up with, the hero pipeline, HIRO. So basically leads that come through a high intent source. It could be book a call, schedule a demo, or whatever it is, with win rates greater than 3% from lead to win, and basically reach a deal in stage in your pipeline that converts at 25% rate for that cohort of opportunities. And I see that, and I love that metric because it shows, are we bringing the right customers in, right? It's a long-term metrics that actually says, are we doing the right thing from the sales perspective, from the marketing perspective, and from everything, partnerships also, from the everything that we do, right? If the right people comes in and that metrics keep growing, then we know that we are on the right track. If not, there are a lot of things that we need to fix. But I told you, like, the metric is one thing that we need to optimize for. And when we optimize for the one that I wouldn't recommend, it's, MQLs as people who downloaded your ebook, or people who have watched your webinar. Those are people, or even I saw that, especially working in a dark market, people who have come to our website a few times. It's not merely close to people saying, I want to talk to the sales or I want to buy. So I want to optimize everything to get the people come to the website and say, I want to buy, or I want to buy. And then when we look at the hero pipeline, basically we see if those are the right people that are coming or no, and then we optimize our efforts based on that.
Love it. It takes me to the memories of in the early days of Avoma when I first asked Aditya, the CEO there, as to what is the one metric that you want me to prioritize on, or what is the quick win that you want me to focus on? He said, let's do good marketing. Let's make sure that, in the initial stages, we have a small set that we are working towards, which is our customers, prospects, and audience. So let's make sure that we offer the best experiences at every touch point and not burn bridges. So that to me was very, very unique. And I've never heard any CEO say that in my past. And, that grew so much of respect for somebody who really understands what the market needs and not just goes by certain numbers.
Exactly. I mean, look, that's greatly said, because marketing has one job, and that's reverse engineering the buying process and get just enough in each stage, so the customers, until the customer is ready and they come to convert. And I usually like to tie marketing to the conversion on a website, because it tells us basically what's happening. Right? If they come from other sources, okay, we can track that, we can measure that, but it actually tells us what's happening.
All right, so that brings us towards the end of the episode. But before I give you my thank yous, I would like to ask you one thing. For all the listeners who are here who want to connect with you, what is the best place that you prefer to be connected with?
Yeah, I mean, the best place is LinkedIn, definitely. Then, I mean, I'm all around. So Instagram, Twitter, whatever. If they want to talk with me about basketball and music, then it's Twitter probably. But also 𝗩𝗵𝗲𝗊𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗬 Marketing Podcast on YouTube or on any platform. Started posting again last week. So a lot of interesting guests coming and a lot of interesting content when we dive deep into the strategies and the tactics that you need to kind of implement. Yeah, that's it. Just ping me on any platform. Said that you're listening to this episode with 𝗩𝗗𝗄, and you find out a lot of send me some specifics that you heard, and that's how I will be able to share it, and we can get more listeners to the 𝗩𝗗𝗄𝗃 podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for all the listeners here, I can definitely tell you that my conversation with Nemanja started probably about 3-4 years ago, just over a virtual coffee, probably during or just pre-COVID times. And from there, we went on to build a beautiful relationship. I can definitely vouch that he's one person who genuinely cares and will share his insights, and he's genuinely helpful and wants an ecosystem around him. So thank you so much, Nemanja, for being here. And is there a parting message that you would like to share with our audience today?
I always say to the people, keep it funky. And there is one thing that it means, and I want to use the opportunity to explain. And it is, definition of funk music is groove that makes you want to move. So basically, it means that funky marketing, if you add a little funk, it means not only, be visible to your target audience, but do enough to activate them so they come to you and buy when they're ready. So that's my last message.
Wow, I love it. Every time I saw Let's Make It Funky, I never realized the depth to that. I think that's really nice message to close this episode. And thank you so much, Nemanja. I absolutely appreciate. I did not even feel like we crossed an hour discussing today. Really appreciate your time joining us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure.